From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DB CBB PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, and I hope you are feeling the same. It is a beautiful Wednesday in LA. Had a great amount of rain yesterday, but today is nice and sunny outside with a whole bunch of just beauty going on. So you know how it goes, and pretty much where do we start? Let's go ahead and just talk about some real quick fun stuff. We got, can the Chargers make a run to the Super Bowl? Today's question for you guys, and before we get into all these bets and all these plays that I got for you guys. But all in all, we have, can the Chargers make a run to the Super Bowl? That's the biggest question, right? From what I'm seeing here, the Chargers have everything in place to make the run that nobody sees coming, because they probably are playing their best football at the right time. Even though this team did lose their last game of the season, I did say that quite possibly they would go ahead and just sweep the whole thing. But the Broncos went ahead and fired their coach. So that was kind of helpful for the Broncos because they needed that. And, it was a game that the Chargers knew that they weren't going to go too crazy in. But this is the first time the Chargers been on a 4-game winning streak in some time now as well, too. And it was just snapped. But they have won literally 5 out of their last 7 games. And this is coming after losing 2 in a row coming out of the bye week. A lot of people had their doubts with this team at that point, and we're literally like, yeah, it's probably going to be over with for them. And that point in time, they were actually 5-5. And then since that point, they've won 5 out of 7. So they're only 5-2 since that point. So they're playing literally their best ball, and winning 4 in a row was huge for this Chargers team. At one point, they won 7 in a row. But other than that, there was some inconsistencies and things like that. But one good thing about the Chargers is that they have a team that has a whole lot going on. And pretty much the thing is with this is that you have a really great group of guys that really love playing with each other. And their quarterback literally is a guy that's not into being famous. He's into winning football games. And I think that's where they really stand out the most. We've been talking about Josh Allen. We've been talking about Burrow. We've been talking about Mahomes. But everybody has had this thing with Justin Herbert this year. Oh, he's struggling and he's having some issues this year. And, he's not playing up to the standard that we're used to with him. But he is a guy that did have to recover from broken ribs earlier this season as well, too. They can say that it was just, cracked. No, the man broke his ribs and still threw for over 4,700 yards. Also was able to run. And this year, he didn't run as much as he usually does. So I know that was a lot of things that people just were really kind of deterred about. But at the end of the day, this is a damn good quarterback in his 3rd season. He's already thrown for 15,000 yards literally in his first 3 seasons. That's absolutely incredible. And he's broken the records. Literally every passing record has been broken by him for a young quarterback. So this is his moment of truth, in my opinion. And so I look forward to Saturday. I'm going to talk more about this game when we do preview the playoffs throughout the week. We'll be starting with the NFC tomorrow, and then we'll be doing the AFC on Friday when Mike comes onto the show. So I'm ready, and I hope you're ready as well too. So it should be fun. And let's go ahead and move into our next subject. And we're actually going to go ahead and get into our college basketball for today. And up first, we got the ACC game of the day that has Pitt at Duke, number 24, going at 12-4, 8.5 point favorite for Duke. That Duke is today. And so pretty much you have a Duke team that's kind of going through the motions this year. No Coach K for the first time in almost 40 years. Also, they are a team that is going through a transition a little bit because I think they are going to go back to what Duke used to be. Duke used to have a lot of really, really hard working guys and one superstar that they threw in there with them. And I think Duke is going to start regressing back to that. But I would really say that the era is over with Duke. And people have to understand North Carolina is already an established brand. Duke has just always been North Carolina's rival. And when they were able to separate themselves, winning that first national championship in the early 90s and being so hated the way that they were because they were seen as the prep boys and the guys that think they're better than everybody and all that stuff. And then eventually the villain becomes the hero. And that's what happened with Duke. And Duke is no longer the villain that they used to be. And that's why it's tough for Duke to just move forward and be the Duke that everybody's used to. I think, though, at the end of the day, this will work out very well for the rest of the conference because the conference seems to be really open this year, a lot of parity to the conference. Now, Pitt is in this. I have Pitt and Duke here as the game of the day because there are other games that we could have selected. But you have a Pitt team that's coming off of a 5-game winning streak, just lost by one to Clemson at home. They actually are the leaders in the clubhouse, too, when it comes to this conference as well. They were the number one. They were tied for first place with Clemson, but that one loss puts them in a tie for second place now. They're 11-5 on the season, but they've stepped it up since they got to conference play. So I have to throw them in here because at this point right now, they're a better team in conference than Duke is. And Duke is sitting in here 3-2. Duke is lost a few games. And, the Kansas loss wasn't that bad. They only lost that one by 5. But when they lost to Purdue, that was really bad. They lost to Purdue by 21 points. And then they came back around in their last 5. They've won their last 3 out of 5. And they're only 2-2 in their last 4. So they've been trading off losses and wins the last few weeks as well, too. And, losing to NC State was huge because they were in Raleigh against a rival and they lost by 24. So this team wants to really bounce back because seriously, damn near losing to Boston College, like there's a lot of things that Duke knows that they need to fix. And Duke really, that was the first time Duke had got blown out like that against a conference opponent in some time. So it's really a new day in the ACC. And who's going to take over the ACC? That's the biggest question. But I think Duke has this one taken care of because they will be challenged by their coach today. And I do have them winning this game by 10 or more. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be UConn in Marquette. This game is going to be in Milwaukee tonight. I don't know if it's going to be at the old Bradley Center. I think it is because Milwaukee is in New York tonight. We'll talk about that in a moment as well too. But you have a really good game today. Big East game. You have number 6 going against number 25. UConn is starting to get caught up with a little bit. This team did jump out to a 14-0 start to the season, beat everybody by double digits, and then all of a sudden they beat somebody by 8, then they lose 2 in a row, and those games were by double digits. They come back around. They got a great win against Creighton last Saturday. Creighton came into the game, kind of dangerous, and UConn took care of the job. Now UConn is on to on the road in conference play. So Marquette does have that working in their favor coming into tonight's game. But UConn at one point really played themselves out of being the number one team in the nation, which is crazy because if they don't lose that game against Xavier, they go straight to number one, in my opinion. If they don't lose that game to if they didn't lose that game to Providence, they could have went to number one. If they were still undefeated, they would be the number one team in the nation. Now, when it comes to playing the non-conference, they may be the best team in the nation because they've beaten everybody by double digits, including a long, lengthy Alabama team that beat North Carolina, who will be a factor in the tournament come March. So, UConn is scary. And the Big East is a great, tough conference to toughen them up to get them to the tournament. And it feels like they got everything in place. Their team is really one of the most polished teams in the nation from what I've seen. And they really should be staying top 5 for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Now, you have a Marquette team that's playing very good basketball, under the radar basketball as well, too. They've been ranked most of the season as well. And they got good wins on the resume. They they played Purdue as well too, played them a little bit. They lost by 5, but they were there. They've won their last 4 in a row as well too, and they've won 8 out of their last 10. And one thing that they can't hang on their hat is blowing out Baylor by 26. Baylor's still the number 6 team in the nation right now as well too. So that's huge. And then, they got a great win over Creighton, beating them by 11. And they also lost to Providence as well, too. But Marquette comes in here, winners of their last 4 games in a row. Great win over Seton Hall, beat them by 14, wound up beating St. John's on the road by 11. Also got a great win over Nova in Jersey, beating them by 2. And then they beat up on the lowly Georgetown Hoyas as well, too. But they have 1 loss in conference play. And you have UConn with 2 losses in conference play. These teams are in the top 4 of the conference as well, too. So this is going to be one of the better games of the day, if not the week. So I like UConn to come in here and actually, they should be the dog in this spot, to be honest with you, in my opinion. I think they come in here and they get a sneaky road win. Even though they are the slight favorite here, they still get a sneaky win here against a very good Marquette team. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our Big 12 game of the day, and that's going to be between Texas and TCU. This is going to be between the number 17 team in the nation in TCU and the number 10 team in the nation in Texas. Both teams coming to the game 13-2. Texas is a 6.5-point favorite tonight, and you have a TCU team that has absolutely been the darlings of the Big 12, in my opinion. They really don't care what your record is, who you are, what your name is, and they're going to go out there and they're going to compete. And that's exactly what they've been doing as of late. They did have a very tough loss Saturday to Iowa State. And this was a team that was coming off of 11 victories in a row as well, too, and got a great win over Baylor, beating them 88-7 on the road as well, too, and then got a good win over Texas Tech as well. So right now, this team is sitting, I wouldn't say sitting pretty, but they're playing really good basketball. And for a team that had won 11 straight before they got knocked off, last Saturday, this was kind of right in time because this is the toughest portion of their schedule. They're going against 4 teams in the top 25, and they're already in the toughest conference as is all overall in the nation. You have Texas coming up. They got Texas tonight. Saturday, they play against Kansas State. That's 10-11. And then they have West Virginia on the road. They come back around next Saturday for a trip to Allen Fieldhouse, which will probably be a big dog day for them as well, too, which I can see as a possible upset the way that the Big 12 is working this season. All bets are off. There are no games where teams will really go in there and beat you down in this conference. You really are going to have to play in this one. And I think that what happens in this spot tonight, you have a TCU team that takes care of their business. Texas is still playing off the fact that their coach is now gone, but they have a great staff of assistants and a great interim coach, where they really haven't missed a beat, but they didn't really play anybody leading up to this game. I shouldn't say they didn't play anybody, but because the conference is one of the best, but they played one of the teams, they played a team they were supposed to beat. Okay. It's that simple. You know what I mean? And when you look at this situation, you got a team that's won their last 7 out of 9. All right. And they lost to Kansas State, which was kind of a crazy loss because they gave up a lot of points that day, and it was a game that actually, it was a barn burner. You know what I mean? They gave 58 points in the first half, 58 points in the second half. So, it was just one of those games where they got where Kansas State just couldn't miss. They got a 1-point win over the rival Oklahoma, and then they got a good win over Oklahoma State last Saturday. That's what I mean, though. Oklahoma State might be the weakest link in the conference this year, and they're that good because they could be leading 5 other conferences in college basketball right now. So when I look at this one, I love TCU with the +6.5. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's where I'm going with this one. TCU and Texas. I do like the +6.5. This is going to be one of the better games tonight. I can't wait to actually watch it because the Big 12 has been playing some really, really good basketball as a conference as a whole. So there it is. There it is. We move forward, and let's go ahead and talk about literally what's probably the game of the day, and that's going to be between the SEC and this is for the power schools. So the SEC game of the day is going to be Alabama and Arkansas. You got 4 going against 15. Alabama's coming into this game 13-2, while you have Arkansas 12-3. Arkansas is well traveled though this year. Them playing in Hawaii, that's kind of big this year. They played against some of the better teams in the nation as well too. So this team, I think, still has the eyes of a team that should win the conference tournament, to be honest with you. I think they're just right there at the cusp of it. You know what I mean? And they got a really good coach as well, too, in Oates. So there's a lot of things working in Alabama's favor at this point. You got Alabama, in Arkansas's favor. You got Alabama coming in here. They're still feeling pretty good about themselves because they got some really good wins. But once again, this team, that Georgia loss was kind of big in a sense because no, it was Gonzaga. I'm so sorry. I thought it was Georgia. It looked like they had said Georgia, but Gonzaga, losing to Gonzaga by 10 kind of, I wouldn't say set them back a little bit, but they were on a high. You know what I mean? They had beat 2 teams that were ranked number 1 2 weekends in a row. You got beat North Carolina by 2, then you went to Houston and beat Houston by 6. Come back around, you only beat Memphis by 3, and then you ran into Gonzaga. And since then, they haven't played, the top tier teams, but Mississippi State was number 21 when they played them. They beat them by 11. They played Ole Miss. They beat them by 22. And then they absolutely crushed Kentucky last week and beating them by 26. So Alabama's playing really good basketball for the conference right now. And they've got 3 double-digit wins in a row. But we can say that all 3 of those teams are struggling a little bit right now at this point as well, too. So I truly do feel like Arkansas, who is probably hitting their groove as we speak, because I know they've lost their last 2 out of 3, but LSU was a tough loss because that was on the road, and Auburn was the number 22 team in the nation, and that was on the road as well too. But I think tonight, since they're back at home, this game works into their favor. It's going to be a close game. And I like Arkansas in a close spot, but both these teams know how to win close games. But I think Arkansas gets the edge here in this one. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Should be another really good game tonight in Arkansas. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the CBB game of the day. And I know it's going to shock you guys because it's the College of Charleston going against UNC Wilmington, and Wilmington's a 3.5-point home dog tonight. And Charleston is the number 22 team in the number 22 is the 22nd ranked team in the nation as well too. That's pretty high on the horse, and Charleston does belong here as well too. It's not like they're just a team that's 16-1 and they're doing something novelty. Their one loss came to North Carolina. They won in tournaments that they weren't really supposed to win in. You know what I mean? They actually went to the tournament and won. They did that. They did that earlier in the season. They got a good win over Davidson. They also beat Colorado State and Virginia Tech as well too. All these were very, very good wins for this team moving forward into the season, and these were actually at tournaments as well too, as I mentioned before. So Charleston has got really good wins this year. They beat Old Dominion by 15. They also beat Stetson, who was playing pretty good basketball at that point. They beat them by 5. And then they got a good win over Delaware last week. And Delaware is one of the better teams in their conference as well, too. And they started the conference playoff with a bang. They've actually went 4-0 in conference play to start the year off. So they're looking really good, and they've won 3 out of 4 of those games by double digits as well too. So that's something that you look at and you say to yourself, this should be maybe a walk in the park for this team. But Wilmington is a team that you have to look out for. Wilmington has actually went ahead and won their last 13 games in a row after starting the season 1-3, and they are coming off of a good win over A&T. And they beat Elon and Hampton. They beat up on those teams, but A&T, they had a little bit of a close game with them. But this team, when you look at the schedule, they really don't have anybody up here that they beat up on, but they do have a common opponent. And we can be petty and be like, well, Wilmington only lost to the Tar Heels by 3, and Charleston lost to them by 16. So, and Charleston gave 102 points in the game. So all in all, when I really do look at this game, I will go ahead and I will choose with Wilmington tonight with the +3, because that's what they've actually jumped to, is +3 tonight. So it is what it is at the end of the day, and that's where we're at with our games of the day. So I really, really am enjoying today's group as well too that we have. So this is a part of the PrimeTime PK6. I added in a team for you guys as well too. So there it is. That's going to be our CBB game of the day. So you guys be on the lookout. I know it's not a national game, but I would say that this game does deserve a ESPNU broadcast, at least. You know what I mean? CBS Sports, one of them. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. You guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, and I'll be right back to you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. So let's go ahead and jump into our next subjects in hand, and it's going to be about NBA Wednesday night. We had some fun last night, somewhat in the NBA. We had 40 for 40 for the Miami Heat last night. Also, we had a good little bounce back win for a team that was on a 6-game losing streak in the Suns, and they went ahead and pretty much damn near took back control of the Pacific Division as well too, a division that is actually only 3 games separating the last place team from the first place team. And believe it or not, the team that's in first place is the Sacramento Kings at this point. But the Warriors dropped their third straight home game as well, too. Very unfamiliar, very rare. I can tell you guys right now, a deal will be made very soon with the Warriors. I know that they're working on some type of blockbuster deal, because if they think this is going to help them with it, they think this group can be a championship group, forget about it. It's not happening. Even though they still got Curry, Clay, and Draymond and all these guys, it's just they don't have the chemistry right now, because I don't know, just Jordan Poole and Draymond fighting just killed everything in my opinion. I think that one of them got to go. You know what I mean? So then you can have that, so you can have your peace back, because I think both guys are still walking on eggshells, and you know that they just kind of lie for the camera. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But let's go ahead and get into our first game. Bucks and the Heat. I mean, Bucks and the Hawks. I'm so sorry about that. But Bucks and the Hawks meet up again. They played each other a few times this season already, but they meet again, and should be a fun one as well too. This should be a really good game between two teams that are finding themselves going in different directions. You got a Bucks team that's 26-14. You got a Hawks team that's 19-21, but the Hawks are in it's very, very bad division. So them being 19-21 isn't as bad as it looks on paper. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. And pretty much from what I'm seeing here, you have a Bucks team that's looking to, right some wrongs a little bit. They haven't started off the month the way that they wanted to start off this month. Now, Atlanta did beat them in Atlanta earlier this year. They beat them by 19, and then the Bucks beat them in Milwaukee by 8. So these teams have played each other 3 times, and Atlanta beat them by 15 in Milwaukee as well too. So Atlanta's up 2-1 in this series for the season. So this will be their 4th and final game of the year. Now, looking in my notes, you do have a Bucks team that's 3-2 coming into this one. That's 3-2 coming into this one. And then you have 2-1 lead, 2-1 in season series. All right, so you have a 10-9 team on the road straight up, and then they're 22-9 as a favorite straight up, 12-5 straight up versus the East. And then against the spread, they're 21-17-2 on the road against the spread, 17-10-2. And then when it comes down to being a favorite, they're 17-12-2 against the spread. So you have them 10-5-1 against the spread versus the East. And then in 40 games, they've won over 21 times. I think that the Bucks are a very solid pick tonight, but it's going to be a really, really tough spot, because the 2.5 point spread does make a lot of sense, because the Hawks do have the advantage in the straight up. Now, when I look at the Hawks note, the Hawks got a good win against the Clippers to put them 2-2 for the month of January. And you guys know that I gave you Clippers on Friday night as well too. So they've had the whole weekend off literally, and they're back at it. So they've been off for some time now. And you have a team that's 11-8 straight up at home. They're 7-11 straight up as an underdog. And then versus the Eastern Conference, they're 13-14 against the spread. Different story though, 16-23-1. And then against the spread at home, they're 8-11, and against the spread as a dog, they're 9-8-1. Now versus the East, they're 11-5-1 against the spread, and in their 40 games, they've went over 23 times. So this game has overwritten all over it. In my opinion, I think that that's exactly probably where it looks at, but I'll keep it real with you guys. This spread has actually jumped to 4.5. And with that now being 4.5, I like the Hawks here. So I'm going to take the plus 4.5 in this spot. And the Hawks had that advantage as well, too. And they beat this team twice by double digits this season. Make it make sense, odds makers, because really, when you look at it, and when you really look at it, shouldn't Atlanta be a slight favorite? All right. But I know everybody's thinking about who's in and who's out. But shouldn't we learn from what happened last night in San Francisco? It doesn't matter who's in and who's out. If you come to play and the other team doesn't, you'll win. It's that simple. So we'll move on, and let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be literally the game of the night with the Pelicans and the Celtics. So you have a Pelicans team coming in here Looking to keep the good times rolling in a sense, because this team is kind of shaky without Zion, but they're still moving and grooving pretty good. They're 25-16 on the season. They're going against the team with the best record in the NBA, though, and the Celtics, who are 29-12. The Celtics are not surprisingly a 9.5-point favorite tonight, with the over/under of 231.5. Now, you do have a Pelicans team that's only 2-3 in the month of January, but they got a nice 20-point win over the Wizards in Washington, beating them 132-112. Now on the road, they're 8-11 straight up and against the spread. And against the spread as a dog, they're 8-9 and that's straight up as well too. And as a road dog, they're 4-7 on both sides, spread and straight up. Now versus the Eastern Conference, they're 9-6 straight up and 8-7 against the spread versus the East. And when it comes down to the spread, they're 21-20. Now, the Celtics come into this one 3-2 in the month of January. They've won 3 in a row after dropping the first 2 games of the month. They're 16-5 straight up at home and as a home favorite. So they haven't been a dog one time at home this year. They're 27-12 straight up as the favorite, period. And then they're 13-4 against the Western Conference. And they are 22-19 against the spread, 12-9 against the spread at home and as a home favorite. And as a fave, they are 20-19 against the spread. Versus the West, 9-8 against the spread. And then when it comes down to the over/under, this team has played in 41 games. They've went over 20 times, but they got 2 pushes, okay? So when I look at this one, I like the over in this spot. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out, because, you know, the Celtics haven't been the best team when it comes to playing against, you know, these Western Conference teams, or teams that are supposed to seem shorthanded when they came in, and then all of a sudden they're figuring out ways to beat the Celtics, you know, just like Orlando did twice. So, you know, we do have to put that into fruition that, you know, this Boston team can slip. And you know what? They do have a little bit of advantage, though. They did beat New Orleans in New Orleans by 8, and you know that's a tough game as well, too. So I look forward to it. This is an over spot. It's going to be a really, really tough game to choose a team here, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. Now we got a good old throwback matchup. You know, Pacers and Knicks used to be something really fun. Knicks lead the season series 1-0. We all remember the 90s and the playoffs with Reggie Miller doing the choke sign, all that good stuff. I remember I was going so hard for them as well too in that time. And you know, the Pacers, man, I loved it, man. That was really a time where it taught me a lot about the game of basketball. It taught me a lot and I still look at those things and I still use that today. That's why when I'm betting a dog and things like that, I always think back to this series and tell myself that never overlook the dog. You know what I mean? If you like the dog, bet the dog. Now, the Pacers are 3-1 this month. They've won the last 2 in a row. They're 8-11 straight up on a roll, 14-15 as an underdog. And as the road dog, they're 6-10 straight up. Now, 16-9 straight up versus the Eastern Conference against the spread. They are one of the best teams in the league. They're 25-16 as an underdog. They're 18-11 against the spread. And then against the spread on the road, they're 11-8. And then 9-7 as the road dog. All right. And then when it comes down to the spread versus the Eastern Conference, they're 17-8. Now you have a Knicks team that won their first 3 games of the month, and they just lost their last game to the Bucks at the Garden. They lost that one by 4. Now they are 10-11 straight up at home. They're 13-7 straight up as a favorite. They're 9-6 as a home fave this year. They're 13-10 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. And then they're 21-18-2 against the spread, 7-12-2 against the spread at home, 10-9-1 against the spread as a favorite, 6-8-1 against the spread as a home fave, and then they're 11-10-2 against the spread versus the East. Now, when it comes to the over-under, they are 20-20-1. So we have that working out in that accord. Now, we have the Now we have the Knicks, who, they're playing pretty good basketball. I guess Ice Spice showed up to another game, so they playing good ball again. They won 8 in a row after she came, and I guess she was in Spike's seat too. And they came, and I think they still want to trade her out, trade her in, and trade Spike out at this point. But I think that when you have the team that's the best dog in the league, look it up, because you have Orlando, who's 15-22 straight up as a dog. You have this Pacers team that's actually 14-15. They've been a dog 29 times this year, and literally almost have a 50% mark as being a dog this year. So that is a great number for a team if you're backing them as a dog. So I'm going to take the best dog in the NBA, and that's going to be the Pacers. It's really a no-brainer here. I love them with the plus 165 tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into our next spot. And this is going to be a good one. We have ourselves a very fun with the Suns and the Nuggets. And as I told you guys last night, the Suns ended their 6-game losing streak with a bang. They went ahead and got themselves a very good win last night versus the rival Warriors to improve to 8-0 in the Pacific Division as well too. So that's pretty huge. You know what I mean? Where your team can go in there and still handle their business and figure out a way to actually still be on top of the Pacific Division. Because as I said before, they're not that far apart in the division now. They did lose to the Nuggets back in, the Nuggets back in December, and I'm trying to see how many times they played them this year. I thought they had a back-to-back with them at some point this year, but they didn't. They've only played them once, so they did lose that game by 3 in Denver. So, that game was really close. And what makes Phoenix very attractive tonight, yes, they're 1-4 for the month. Yeah, they're struggling. Just ended the 6-game losing streak. Was losing all month. They're only 17-14 straight up on the road. They're 4-10 straight up as an underdog. 18-10 straight up versus the West. That's the number that we're all looking at. 21-21 against the spread. They're not a great spread team. It makes sense. They're 50-50 in that regard. 10-11 against the spread on the road. That actually kind of makes up for the 7-14. That means that they're still playing these games pretty close. And then being 7-7 against the spread this year, they're pretty much even as the dog when it comes to these games. They just don't finish and win the game, but they are in these games. And when it comes to playing the West, they're 17-11 against the spread versus the West. So still a nice winning record. Nothing much changes on that end. And then in their 41 games, they went under 22 times this year. So the Suns are a team that is not been scoring the way that we're used to them scoring. But at the same time, too, the Suns are a team that is streaky. They either winning 4 or 5 in a row or losing 5 in a row. That's kind of like how their season is going at this point. So we'll see how they look tonight. But this is a really, really tough game for the Suns tonight. But coming off that back-to-back, they were a 12.5-point dog last night as well too. So if anybody had the audacity to have them at the money line, congrats. Because you played that thing accordingly. You said, hey, they got 2 wins over them. Forget it. I'm going to still take them. You know what I mean? And then everybody should have knew to take them last night because Curry was coming back. And I know you say, but Curry was coming back. It seems like when guys come back the first night, they're not going to play that well. So what happens is they throw off the whole chemistry of whatever was going on before they were out. So the team has to get used to having them back out there. And Steph Curry only had 8 points going into the fourth quarter last night. He finished up nicely, but he was struggling. He was struggling mightily last night. So you have a Nuggets team 4-1 for this month. They've won their last 3 in a row as well, too. They're 17-3 straight up at home. They're 23-9 straight up as a favorite. They're 20-9 straight up versus the West. And then they're 20-19-1 against the spread. Now, at home against the spread, 12-7-1, 15-16-1 against the spread as a favorite, and they're 15-13-1 against the spread versus the Western Conference. Now, when it comes down to the over and under, they are split in their 40 games at 2020. So when I look at this one, I'm going to have to go ahead and take the cue. I feel like my man is over here taking my already in my notes, but I love you, relative. But yeah, I like the under here as well too. The under seems like the most logical thing going on. They pulled this game off the board as well too, because there must be some injuries going in on the Nuggets side. The Nuggets might be sitting some guys out, or the Suns might be thinking about sitting some guys out as well too, because this is the second of a back-to-back. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But I think this is more of a scoreboard watch. No, I don't think it is a scoreboard watch game. It's tough to pick a winner here because it's a high spread on the home team, and then it's against a team that's actually much better than they're looking on the spread. So that's how it goes. Sometimes you got to play this thing smart. All right, so we have ourselves the Rockets and the Kings as the nightcapper, and then you have a Kings team that's a 9.5-point favorite tonight. Rockets struggling hard, 10-30 on the season. Also, they are just struggling, man. And then you have a Kings team that's 21-18. The Rockets, they got a lot of youth and a lot of immaturity. That's the biggest thing with the Rockets. Now, if they had a team if they had a vet that really wanted to be there, then they would be fine. But this team has lost their last 7 games in a row, and they've also pretty much have lost their last 12 out of 13. So this team is struggling mightily. You know what I mean? And it was crazy because they were 5-2 to start the month of December. And since that point, they're 1-12. So, something's got to give, right? Tonight, I don't think that happens, to be honest with you. I think that, this team is struggling. They just lost by 8 at home to the Wolves. They're only 4-16 straight up on the road. They're 10-27 as a dog this year. So that means every single win they've had this year has been as an underdog. Now, when it comes down to playing the West, atrocious. 5-22 straight up versus the West. And then when it comes down to the spread, they're 17-21-2. And against the spread, they're actually 8-12 against the spread on the road. They're 17-18-2 against the spread as an underdog, and then they're 10-16-1 against the spread versus the East, and then 19-21 with the over and under. Now the Kings are 2-3 in the month of January. They won their last game 136-111 versus the Magic, and they had to get it together, but they know they got to stay afloat. They're 10-8 straight up at home, which I'm kind of surprised by. Because I would think that this team would have won way more games at home. They're 14-5 straight up as a favorite, though. And when it comes down to playing the West, they're 9-9 straight up versus their conference. Now, against the spread, they're 21-18. Against the spread at home, they're 10-11. I don't know how that makes sense. They're 10-11. Let me make sure I got this all the way right for you guys, because they're 10-11 at home, so they should be a better home team, right? You know what I mean? So they should be a better home team. So, you have a team in Sacramento. It's great to see Sacramento really balling though this year. 17 years out of the loop, dude, and they're back. You know what I mean? 17 years. And actually they're 12-9 at home. Sorry about that. 12-9 at home, 10-11 against the spread. They're 10-9 as a favorite this year against the spread. They're 10-8 against the Western Conference against the spread. And then when it comes down to their 39 games, they've went under in 20 of them. So in this spot tonight, I honestly see the Kings winning this one by 15 or better. I think that this is one of their, blow them out games, because they really don't mess around with the bad teams. I'm going to be dead honest with you. They just don't. They just don't mess around with the bad teams. Now, the good teams, they have their issues. They have their issues. But I like Sacramento to go ahead and win this game. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I do like Sacramento to take care of their business at 9.5. So we'll see how it goes. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. And then when we get back, I got a whole whole big group of tickets for you. I got every conference bets list today with multiple teams, and I got the CBB PrimeTime PK6, CBB DogDay PK4, and the NBA Super High Five. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, so here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Sorry, guys, I should have got rid of that, but let's go ahead and get into Talking Tickets, y'all. It's your favorite subject of the show. It's my favorite subject of the show. So let's dig on in, all right? So up first, we have ourselves the AAC bets list. We have Memphis Moneyline plus 110. We have the number one team in the nation, Houston, playing at home today against South Florida. This is going to be an over bet on the Houston side, so I'm taking a plus 23.5 on South Florida. Then you have SMU tonight. SMU's in a game that they can possibly get an upset in. I'm gonna be dead honest with you. That it has an upset feel to it, but I said to myself, just be smart about it. Take SMU on the points. It should be something that works out either way. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Yeah, they're playing Tulane, one of the better teams in the conference this year. And they've won their last 3 in a row as well, too. So SMU looks like they will go ahead and up in that, in my opinion, tonight. And then you got East Carolina and Cincinnati. This one was a toughie because they're kind of giving a little bit too much love to Cincinnati, who's coming straight fresh off of a 13-point loss, and they've lost their last 2 out of 3. But I know East Carolina is not, the look that everybody's getting excited about because they're not seen to do much this year, and they're only 1-3 in their conference games this year, and they've lost their last 3 out of 5. But I still think that the 10 is a good number, and this team hasn't been blown out in some time now. So, yeah, they keep games close, so why not? Plus 10.5 on the Pirates. So let's go ahead and get to our next group. And it's going to be the ACC. The ACC bets list is 8.5 to Duke. I already told you guys that when we talked about the bet of the game of the day. BC is going into Miami tonight. I like them with the plus 10.5. Also, we have Syracuse at home tonight at the old Carrier Dome going against Virginia Tech. Don't sleep on this situation. I think Syracuse winds up getting themselves a very good upset tonight, but I wouldn't call it an upset when you go to Syracuse and try to win a game. All right, so then we have the very lowly Florida State Seminoles tonight. They're going against Wake Forest, but Florida State's playing pretty much their best basketball of the season. They have won their last 3 out of 5 games, and they did get a good 11-point win over the Yellow Jackets last week. Also, Clemson, the number one team in the conference right now. I'm going to say it again. Clemson's the number one team in the conference. I think they want to go ahead and send a message today, and I think they will send a message today. So I'm going to take them with 17. They should win this game by 20 or better, like minimum 20 points, because Louisville is true. I'm not even going to put them down like that. Louisville is not a very good team. They're very mediocre, okay? All right, so we got the American East, the AEC, one of my favorite conferences. I love mid-majors, and I really love the small schools. So we have the AEC, the plus 100 on Mass Lowell tonight. This is a very good game. You got a Mass Lowell team that is 14-3 on the season, but they're going against the landlord Vermont. So I like Mass Lowell to go ahead and get a good, nice, solid home win tonight. Then you got New Hampshire and Maine, good old rivalry game tonight. I like the way that's looking. I like New Hampshire with the plus 3.5. That's a money line play as well too if you want it. And then Binghamton and NJIT having themselves a little Jersey versus New York battle. And I like Binghamton here because NJIT is kind of struggling over the last few years. They're just kind of just a school that's in a conference nowadays. And then we have Albany and Bryant, and I like Bryant in the spot. Bryant is the best team in the conference this year other than Mass Lowell. So I think that Bryant should go ahead and take care of their business. They're only 1-2 in the conference, but they want to bounce back a bit. And then they're at home somewhere where they do play very good basketball. So I do have them winning this game tonight and winning it by 15 or better. So let's go ahead and move on to our next subject at hand. It's going to be the A10 bets list tonight. I got a lot of them tonight, y'all. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I looked at the pages. It's a lot. So y'all sit down, get comfortable. All right, A10 tonight. We got Davidson with the 2.5. We got St. Joe's with the plus 3.5. We got Rhode Island going against Bonnie's tonight in the 50-50. I'm taking them with the money line, minus 130. Then we got DuQuoin going against St. Joe's tonight. Where's DuQuoin and St. Joe's? Yeah, I got St. Joe's with the plus 3.5 tonight. I already talked about it. Sorry. And then we got LaSalle and UMass. I got them with the plus 8.5. And then we got George Mason and St. Louis. I'm taking George Mason with the plus 7.5. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. George Mason is a money line play, in my opinion. Both teams coming in here 10-6. So really it's a 50-50, but they're trusting the home situation a bit more. You have to understand the toughest games in conference to win are road conference games. But George Mason does present a very good possibility tonight. Same thing goes for LaSalle as well, too. Even though UMass is 10-5, they're a cheap 10-5, in my opinion. So there it is. There it is. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the Big 12 tonight. We got Baylor with the minus 1.5 tonight in Morgantown. That's a 50-50. So if you'd like West Virginia tonight, I'm not mad at you. This is a tough spot, but I think Baylor does want to get a good bounce back here as well, too. But they can get bounced as well, too, because West Virginia's coming fresh off of a loss as well, too. You have TCU tonight, as we already talked about before. I love them with the plus 6.5. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. All right, so we move on to the Big East tonight. We got Creighton with the plus 2.5. And then we got UConn on the road with the minus 140. So we're going with both road teams tonight. Let's see what they can do. Let's see if we can get these bad boys home. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the Big Ten bets list. We got Indiana tonight to go in there and get a nice little dog win tonight, even though it's just because where they're playing at. It's not because Penn State's that much better than them. It's just really tough to win at Happy Valley. So I do like Indiana tonight with the plus 130 to take care of their business. And then we do have Rutgers and Northwestern tonight. And I do like Rutgers I do like Northwestern at home tonight. They're 12-3. They have one of their best records that they've had in years. I think that they get a good win over the team from Jersey. So we'll see how it goes, see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. We have the Big West bets list. Big West, one of our home conferences and everything like that. A lot of people I've known went to all these schools that are a part of this conference as well, too. Riverside, UCR, we were taking them with the first game, minus 120 tonight. I like UCR tonight. It looks like a very, very profitable spot, in my opinion. You also have Bakersfield tonight, plus 9. Bakersfield actually won a slew of Division II championships. Look it up. And then we have Davis tonight playing against Northridge. Northridge 3-12, absolutely hopeless. I'll take Davis in that spot because that team actually had to go through some real ish the other day. They were on a plane that actually had a bird flying to the engine. So yeah, that team is gonna be ready to beat on anybody. And then we finish up with Fullerton as one of my big dogs today, plus 375. That is a rivalry game against Irvine, and all bets are off. You have a 9-7 going against a 10-5. Sign me up for that for plus 375 in the Big West. Let's go. And they just got done beating Hawaii, the best team in the conference. Come on, dog. Come on, man. And they didn't have to go far. They had to go 15 minutes down the street to Irvine. It's not like they had to drive 3 hours. No. They went right down the street. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But Fullerton with the big number tonight. All right, we got the Colonial bets. Like I said, we got Wilmington, UNCW, plus 3.5. We also have the 2.5 on NC-A&T. We got the 7.5 on Townsend. And then we have Delaware with the plus 120. Plus 18.5 to Monmouth, the new member of the Colonial. They left the Metro for the Colonial, and they're seeing that they might have wanted to stay in the Metro. All right, so we got Conference USA tonight. Always a tricky conference. We got the rivalry game between FIU and FAU tonight. I like the FIU squad tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take them with the plus 10.5. We then have Rice playing against Middle Tennessee State. Rice is actually playing some of their best ball. They are coming off a 6-point loss, but I'm not worried about that. I think they go ahead and have themselves a good game tonight and figure out a way to win this one by 4 or better. And then we have North Texas, who's probably seen as one of the better teams in the conference, 13-3 coming into the game. This was a tough choice because Louisiana Tech is always a tough out, but I think North Texas has a nice blowout in them tonight. And then we have Western Kentucky and UAB, and seen in pretty much the game of the night in the conference, 9-6 going against 12-4. I like Western Kentucky with the plus 10.5, and I keep it real with you. Western Kentucky is another team that you can possibly bet on a money line situation tonight to get you a win, because this team is much better than that 10.5 point spread that they're giving them tonight. And then UTSA and UTEP. This one right here is definitely a spot where if you really feeling kind of froggy, you could take UTA San Antonio to win this game straight up. They're 7-9 to 8-7. Come on, dude. Come on. And this is an interstate rivalry game. So, you have that part. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Patriot League. The Patriot League, I have American tonight plus 100, and then we also have Lafayette plus 6.5. We have Lehigh with the minus 5, and then we also have Boston U with the plus 430, another one of my big dogs tonight. And they actually got dropped down to about 375, but I caught the parlay at 425. So pretty much there it is. And then we have Bucknell with the 7.5. All right. So it's a lot to choose from, but you ain't got it. But it's not about, it's just pretty much giving everybody a different option. It's a different menu. So, you jump into the ones that you like best. I wouldn't suggest to anybody, unless you betting 10, 20 a game, to jump into every single game. But I just wanted to make sure that I had you guys all the way right. These are the famous bets list. So you have the SEC bets list, minus 2.5 to Mississippi State. Arkansas money line minus 110, and then we have Texas A&M with the minus 4.5 tonight. So that's this is a fun group. I think we got a sweep going on with the SEC tonight. I'm gonna keep it real. I think we got a sweep. All right, and then we got the Southern bets list. We got Mercer with the plus 6.5. We got Western Carolina with the plus 9.5, and we got ETSU money line minus 110, and then we have Greensboro with the minus 9 tonight, and then we finish up with Sanford with the minus 3.5. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our final college bets list, which is going to be Texas Rio Grande Valley plus 6.5, and then we got Tarleton State with the minus 9.5, and then we got Cal Baptist money line with the minus 115. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our parlays for tonight, and you guys can always single what you like in this group as well too. We got 49-1 on the PrimeTime PK6, and literally 5 out of 6 of the games are the games we talked about today. So we have Arkansas money line, UConn money line plus 3 on Wilmington, Indiana money line, Duke spread, and then we have the plus 6.5 on TCU tonight. 49-1 ticket here. You put $20 on this bad boy, you get back $9.80. That will equate you to $1,000. So $20 gets you $1,000. So there it is. There it is. All right. And then we have ourselves the DogDay PK4, which is 100-1. $10 gets you 1,000, 20 gets you 2 racks, 2,500, and 25 gets you 2,500. So I'm trying to pay you rent here. So we got Memphis money line plus 105, Boston U money line plus 425. We also have Syracuse with the plus 130, and then we have Fullerton with the plus 345 tonight. So that whoop, there it is. 100-1 on a very live ticket, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and look into our super high five. 35-1 tonight. We got the Hawks plus 4.5. We also have the over 231 with the Pelicans and the Celtics. And then we have the Pacers plus 165 money line as our NBA dog of the day. And then we also have ourselves the under 226 with the Nuggets and the Suns today. And then we finish up with the -9 on the Kings. So that's a 35-1 ticket. And WAP, there it is. I said WAP, sorry. Whoop, there it is. So there it is. There it is. Pretty much single what you like. I know a lot of you guys probably looking at it like, damn, Pop, you gave us a lot. But you know what? I'm going to tweet it all out in a minute anyway. So it is what it is. But I just wanted to make sure I talked about it and showed it to you. So then you guys can see that we have this going on tonight. And this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. And this is where what it's all about. Okay. So tomorrow I'll be back with another big group of college bets for you guys as well, too. We got a big Thursday coming up. Always pretty much everybody in college basketball is playing tomorrow, except for a lot of these bigger conferences, because Thursday is usually like their day off. But all the smaller conferences will be in play tomorrow night. So you guys be ready for that. And pretty much we got NBA. We got some more NBA. We got NFL to talk about tomorrow as well, too. I'm waiting on some boxing announcements before we actually get into that. I need to have structured dates and things like that, not just rumors on the internet. So we have that working. But all in all, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's show. You guys are the absolute best. I'll be back to you guys tomorrow about 2 o'clock again. And Mike will be in with us on Friday. Also, I'm going to be doing the Mike Abadir show tomorrow as well. So you guys, another great sports week, another great sports day. So you guys, once again, as I said before, you're the absolute best. And I can't wait to get back to you tomorrow. Okay. So with that, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.